It will give you eyes, give you hope, it'll give you perspective. Oh, there are stories to tell, the times we grew and the times we fell. Oh, I've been afraid some days, but the road will lead us to a better place. Road will lead us to a better place.
My Valley Home with Rachel MacLean is made possible through the generous support of our sponsors, including Deacon Financial Management Group of Scotia Wealth Management.
In this episode, we visit Annapolis Royal, where we'll take in a battle reenactment at Fort Anne, browse the beautiful grounds of Historic Gardens, and meet up with an old friend at King's Theatre.
So thank you, Trish, for taking time out of your busy day to come down here and show us this incredible place. On the way down, we were just commenting just how stunning. You just must get that all the time.
We do. Yeah.
Does it get old? Hearing how beautiful it is here.
Visitors are so appreciative, and really that's what makes our job worthwhile. If it wasn't for appreciative visitors, we'd just be enjoying it by ourselves, and that's not nearly as much fun.
No, you're sharing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is incredible. So tell us just a little bit about, how long has this been around? How long has this been here?
Well, the gardens were built in the early 80s, 1980, and opened in 1981. Okay. So we're not as old as people think. Yeah. We're called the Historic Gardens not because the gardens have been here for hundreds of years, but because we represent the history of Nova Scotia through our gardening, our design, plant material, and so on. So you can wander 17 acres of paradise, but also learn a lot about the history of Nova Scotia in the process. Good. The gardens were designed in a way to tell the story of Nova Scotia through gardening and horticulture, and the different sections that sort of do that are the pine forest, which is representative of pre-European settlement in Nova Scotia back in those simpler days. And then we have an Acadian section based on 1671 time period. We honed in on that because a census was done in 1671 of the Acadian families in the area, and we have a signboard with those names on it. But that sort of was the foundation for the time period we chose. So we have an Acadian house. It's a replica of what an Acadian house would have looked like at that time, with a thatched roof. The dike lands that it overlooks, as mentioned, an orchard and a garden. Then we skip ahead about 100 years to the early 1700s, where we have a governor's garden, and that represents plans that were at the governor's house in Annapolis Royal, because we were still the capital of Nova Scotia at that time. So Halifax was not founded till 1749. And then the Victorian Garden tells about the late 1800s, when Annapolis Royal was very much a center of trade and shipbuilding and commerce because of the river and the railway. So there was a lot of money in the area at that time. The grand Victorian mansions along St. George Street are sort of indicative of that time period. And then we have a modern garden called the Innovative Garden, which it displays modern plant materials and small space gardening, raised beds, all the things that today you might do in your garden. So people are very intrigued by that. So those are the gardens that tell sort of the bigger story about the history, and then weaving that all together, we have various plant collections and displays, and there's just all sorts of things. Every corner you go around, you kind of are in a bit of a different world. So it's very diverse, yet walkable in 45 minutes to an hour. So people really enjoy that. The designers were really thoughtful in putting apple trees in each of the 4 European period gardens. So from the Acadian to the Governor's Garden to the Victorian Garden to the Innovative Garden, there are apple trees in those gardens representative of that time period. So we have 4 centuries of apple blossoms in the spring and 4 centuries of apples in the fall, which for the Annapolis Valley was just genius. Genius design.
Very, very smart.
Yeah. So the gardens are owned and operated by a nonprofit charitable organization, as many museums are. So the Annapolis Royal Historic Gardens Society, with its board of directors, employs the staff, and we manage the gardens. There's about 25 people on staff in high season. Only 8 of them are gardeners, because we have a lot of other things on the run as well. And you can imagine 8 gardeners, 17 acres. They do absolutely an incredible job. I mean, it's amazing. So the society earns revenues to support itself through admissions at the gate. Obviously, that's our number one. But we also operate a gift shop featuring artwork and handcrafts from about 45 different Nova Scotian artists. And we have a cafe on site just to add to the experience. So you can sit on a terrace in the middle of a lavender garden and have a lemonade or a sandwich, and that's operated by the society as well. So all of those things are sort of revenue generators that help us be here from year to year. We've made it 41 years, and a lot of support from the community. We, as a charity, we do fundraising events and appeals and so on. So we've been blessed with a really supportive Nova Scotian community, really.
It's certainly a worthwhile reason to be fundraising and a worthwhile reason to work at and employ those people to be here. I think that this is just incredible. So what are some of the best times to come, like time of year?
For sure. Well, the gardens are open from early May until the end of October. That's our official operating season. And within that, the gardens change pretty much every week. I mean, it's so easy because Mother Nature just keeps changing the decorations for us. So early June is a really amazing time with the rhododendrons and azalea collection. That's pretty awesome. We have a laburnum arbor that usually blooms just in time for the prom kids to come and get their photos and so on. Early July, end of June, early July is prime rose season, so the rose garden is at its very best. It will continue to bloom all summer, but that's the time for that. And then as summer progresses, the annual, well, right now, the daylilies and hydrangeas, the annual gardens and so on all sort of gain steam through the season, so they just get better and better all season long. And then we have things bloom in the winter. February, we have the witch hazels in bloom. That's their job, is to bloom in the winter. So people can enjoy those. We're not open at that point, but the local people and visitors alike will come into the gardens in the off season by donation instead of paying regular admission. And as long as the gardens are passable, we're happy to have them because it's a whole new dimension when this is covered in snow. Yeah.
Some snowshoes would help.
Snowshoes, yes. Snowshoes definitely help sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. This is lovely. So thank you so much, Trish. Thanks again for just being here with us. I mean, you have a busy day. There are lots of people that I saw, so I know you were busy, so thank you for taking...
My pleasure.
And the walk was incredible. So led us right back to this, which is just my favorite spot now.
It's perfect, and it's my
spot.
pleasure. There's nothing better I can do with the day than get out of my office and come out and talk to people in a beautiful place like this.
Oh, you're very kind.
We love to share, and it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
The siege that we are portraying today actually took place in October, and it was a battle that took place at night.
So where are you all from? Like, where does everyone come from?
Most of the unit comes from across the province. Myself, I come from Antigonish,
Nice.
but other people come from Halifax, from St. Margaret's Bay, Middleton, all over really. So
Oh, that's really nice. And you obviously love this. You have a passion for this.
I have been interested in history since I was yay high to a tree stump, and this is my 10th year with the
Wow.
84th, so
Wow, good
I've
for
enjoyed
you.
every bit of
That's
it.
so wonderful. I think that's really good. And you can really tell that everyone involved is actually very passionate about it. Like, I really got that today. But it's just very special to come in here and see, and you're all set up with all of these tents, and it really takes us back. And I like that. I
That
like
is
that
the
a lot.
thing, that is what our goal as living historians is to show the public what life was like at that time. To live it, to feel it, to experience it, that's our goal. And if we do it well, and people are like, wow, we know we've done a good job.
Well, we were, wow. You did a really, really good job. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
So why was this place so hotly contested? So we look at New France. New France is divided in two. We have Canada, which is Quebec today, so it's north of the St. Lawrence. And then you have Acadia in the center, and then you have the 13 colonies to the south. Whoever controls Acadia controls the greater landmass and has dominance over North America. And so that is why England and France are hotly contesting this territory. And if Montreal or Quebec attacked Upper New York or Vermont, Boston retaliated here because we're 1 week by sail. And it's just straight down. So why move all these men across land or across into the Atlantic Ocean and then the Gulf of St. Lawrence?
Well, you can just come here.
And that is why we are the most fought over piece of land in North America. That is the flag of La Marine Franche. It is not the flag of surrender. King Louis XIV chose the white flag because it stood for purity. And so if ever you saw a white flag flying, you knew that it was a military post. Now, if you go to the habitation will have the white flag, but with the sky blue cross.
Yes.
And that indicates that it is a civilian place.
Okay.
And so a place of commerce or a village of some sort.
Okay.
And so the military, the British, would recognize, okay, we attack where there's a white flag, and where's a sky blue, well, we might raid it. So, yeah. So they will decide to build in the 1686 a French fort. They begin the construction, and then the following year there's a British attack. This becomes British territory. That gets destroyed. Then there's another attempt at that. And then in 1702, they decide to move inland. There had been a previous storm where they lost 49 meters of land, and so let's bring it in. And so they create the Vauban style fort. So if you wanted to attack, you would have to run up, jump the palisade, into the ditch, then try and climb a steep wall with pickets. In the meantime, there's crossfire in all directions.
Right, so a very good design.
A good design.
Yeah.
And in fact, all the British attacks that took place here were from ship. From the basin.
Right.
Yeah, they did not attack
They didn't
by
even
land.
bother because they knew.
They knew, that's right. We have the graveyard, but we have two graveyards. We have the garrison graveyard, and you can see those stones. So we have 234 stones, but over 2,000 burials. So all the other ones are wooden crosses that have rotted over time.
Since gone, yeah.
And you had to be very wealthy to have a stone because it would have been carved in Boston and then shipped here. Now, the Acadians had their cemetery here from early on. So if you look at the stones, you'll see that cenotaph, and then there's nothing beyond, it's just grass.
Yes.
That rectangle there is where we have the Acadian cemetery. And the Garrison Cemetery is U-shaped around the Acadian cemetery. We have volunteers here at Fort Anne, and they are part of the Map Annapolis group. So all our stones are on a digitized map, and if you go to the website and hover over it, the photo comes up and the inscription is there.
That's wonderful.
They did the LiDAR of the Acadian cemetery, and so we found 19 anomalies. And so we figure those are burials, and so we're waiting for permission to do a test drill to confirm that that's what it is. However, on our digitized map, we have identified where those anomalies are. And at the same time, we did LiDAR along this berm here. So if you take those stairs, follow the stairs, that is where the Saint Jean-Baptiste Church used to be. And we found the foundation of the church. The Mi'kmaq are always trying to reclaim the territory for the French. And so in 1725, we will have the Boston Treaty. And that becomes the first in the chain of the peace and friendship treaties. And the treaty always was about sharing the land. So the Mi'kmaq were supposed to be able to continue living their lifestyle without encroachment by the British. And the Supreme Court has always found that all of the treaties and the chain of treaties are still in effect today. And that first treaty was signed here.
Signed here.
Yeah.
You are just such an incredible wealth of information. I'm amazed. I'm amazed. You just must love it so much.
Yes.
I can just feel that
Yeah,
from you, so I love that too. And everyone else will feel that too. So, oh,
good.
wow. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
A trip to Annapolis Royal would not be complete without coming here to King's Theatre and meeting up with old friends, and like Scott Kemp. And yeah, it's nice to see you.
Same here.
Thank you
Great
for
to see
coming.
you.
I'm glad that you were here. Yeah, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
So when would we have met? I'm trying to remember what year. Was it 92 or 91?
We probably
First
met in
met
91. I think so.
And worked together in 92.
in 92. Yeah.
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 The theater is how old?
It's 100 years old. Just 101 this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was built as a theater,
It
though.
was built as a theater. A.M. King built the original theater. I remember coming to this theater when it was just a movie house in the 70s. Right, I can remember we saw Jaws here, so that's like what, 1976, 1977.
I think so.
So the development commission did the renovation, and then a few years ago they had another renovation where they built the deck and whatnot on the back, and did a huge upgrade with the lighting and sound system. You know, everyone just shakes their head when they come in, because you're not expecting, you know, this beautiful old historic town and then see this world-class performance. It's
a treat. It really is a treat, but it was a treat back then.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed it, and I always found that it was a good place to be. It was a very kind of happy, but maybe it was all the people that I worked with. I think maybe that too.
I think so.
And I consider the beginning parts of being here at King's Theatre, but also being at Upper Clements, you know, I mean, that played a huge role in what I ended up doing, going on to sing and, you know, record albums and things like that, right?
Yep.
So it was all of it was such a beautiful time for me. I just really loved it.
It was, you know, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So we were hired, you know, by the provincial government to provide entertainment and attractions for Upper Clements Park.
And I see people on Facebook and other social media, you know, they'll throw up pictures of when they worked there. And they say, you know, what a cool time in my life. And I'll never forget the sights and the sounds. And that's how I feel too. I always love knowing how something like King's Theatre would impact the community. Like, what does it mean? You're from these parts, as they say. You're from these parts.
Over the mountain.
Yeah, over the mountain. So you know, you've been around them all. Like, do you find that it's very important to everyone here to maintain this, to continue?
I think so. As soon as you start to perceive something as valuable,
Right.
it will become valuable, right? Yeah. So, and I think that's what happened here. The right people got in the right positions and started to perceive something as being valuable. So when we come back this summer, we're doing a show here, and we see people that are like, oh well, they're coming out and crying when Liette comes out to to give her a hug after the play. It's happening, right? It's still, people are definitely, and it goes beyond that. We have people that drove down from Halifax because they had heard that play was being produced.
It's a magical thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a magical place. In your mind, what do the next 10 years look like for this area? What do you think? I mean, you've been around here enough to kind of give an idea.
It better look like retirement for me in some of those arenas, right? But I could be wrong, and you would be one of the ones that could correct me. But I think I'm not the only one that's experiencing a renaissance, right? And I could envision me picking up the phone and saying, Rachel, let's do this again, right? I know we did
Rachel would say, yes, Scott.
I know,
yes,
right?
I would do that again.
So,
You're not wrong. You're absolutely right.
I look at you and I as, we were here 30 years ago, and we didn't venture that far afield, right? But now we're still feeling this, like you say, a resurgence, and I think we could do more of this sort of thing, only maybe look at it through a different lens now than what we looked at it, or look at it with 30 years of experience that we didn't have back then.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing place, and thank you so much.
Oh my God, thank you. It was
really
so,
appreciate that
I could sit here all day and be nostalgic, right? But the next thing, we're going to be planning something in there, and then
We will.